Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This post was collected by Rare Don't Stare, posted by Nectarine Pie and r/Cooking, the 10th of January, 2021. OP's Onion Odor Crisis. I caramelized 25 pounds of onions yesterday. Everything smelled like onions overnight, even with all the doors and windows open. Today is day 2 of onions. How do I prevent everything in my house from smelling like onions until next year? Thanks to everyone for their suggestions. I have decided to postpone the onion marathon until tomorrow due to me being drugged up on Benadryl and not wanting to enter an onion-induced coma. Tomorrow is a new onion. Wish me onion. Onion. Day 2 is upon us. I just finished cutting up about 8 quarts of onions. I have an Instant Pot coming up to pressure on my porch as we speak. A fan is blowing in the direction of my cutting station in the window. I immediately washed all my cutting equipment and wiped the counters with a mix of dish soap water and lemon essential oil. I promise I'm not a crazy essential oil lady. I just like the smell, and it makes a good, cheaper all-purpose cleaner. See you in about 2 onions for another update? Update 1. After doing a majority of the cooking in the Instant Pot outside, the onions are now on my stove. Luckily, I just got a new range hood less than a week ago, so that's on full blast. Guess what we've decided to include in dinner tonight? And it's onion rings. Update 2. Final update for the true onions. All the cooking is done. I have another wonderful pot of caramelized onions. The smell really wasn't too bad once the cooking finished, since we've got a huge orange tree and Costco-sized vanilla extract. I put a handful of orange peels, a couple generous switches of vanilla extract, and some water in a pot and let it simmer. The house smells great. I will never forget you onions out there. For those of you wondering why a 2-minute best of was included as the first post, this was the tagline post from one of the previous episodes from over the weekend, where the tagline was so bizarre that several people, just out of morbid curiosity, had to know more. So you ask, and I deliver. The onion odor crisis. Although actually putting like orange peels, vanilla extract in a crock pot just to get the house smelling clean sounds like heavenly. And I might give that a shot. Although I might use limes. Limes and lemons, because like lemon lime with a little bit of vanilla, that just reminds me of a vanilla Sprite, which I used to get from Sonic all the goddamn time, and those are awesome. If you haven't had one, go to Sonic, get a Sprite, and ask for a splash of vanilla. It is awesome. This post was collected by Choice Evidence 1983, and their tagline is, "It dawned on me that he was a wizard." The original OP is Hypocrite Family 6612, posted to r/mytheasshole September 6th, 2025. Would I be the asshole for telling my family they can take my brother in if they think family should help family? Not going into minutia. People hate it when I talk too much. Can't be different written. Me, 37 male. It's me. Husband, 36 male. Accountant, love him to bits. Son, 13 male. Student, average kid who doesn't like my brother. I'm trying to learn anime for him. It's an uphill battle. Brother, 32 male. Not a member of the household. I want it to stay that way. Just a serious tone. God damn. Situation. My brother got kicked out of my would-be sister-in-law's house. Reason? You don't talk shit to your buddies about a scary lawyer and expect her to never find out. The ask. Family wants me to take him in since we have an extra bedroom. We usually use it for my parents when they visit. Plus, our house is big. The problem. You give brother anything, you might as well say goodbye to it forever. Toys, clothes, money, you name it. You're only seeing it again if you sneak into his room and take it. The fear. The second he steps in, the only way he leaves is if I chase him out with a metal bat. I like this guy. I found in the basement when I moved here. He doesn't have a job. I don't want another kid to take care of. One is quite enough. Thank you very much. Also, every conversation he has with my son becomes an intervention. We said no. He's not getting a foot in. The bigger problem? Family says we should help my brother because he's family, and family should help family. We're saying no still. They have not stopped. Question. Would I be the asshole for sending family messages of, you think family should help family? I think that's a great idea. You should do it. And only ever saying that when they try to bring it up? Edit. Holy Johnson, this blew up. I talked to my husband and we wrote a modified version and sent that out en masse blast. We'll update y'all in a week or possibly later with the outcome. Did Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine write this? Am I the asshole has no consensus bot, but OP was voted not the asshole. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Dude's burned his bridges and now he's gotta face the music. Fam's there for support. Stick to your guns. You got a kid and a home to look after. If other families so hell-bent on helping, they can step the fuck up. But they'll turn a 180 real quick. Don't let them guilt trip you. You clearly got your priorities straight. OP responds. Think it'll burn bridges for me too? Commenter 2. Do you care? OP responds, kind of. I still love my family, as they were the village that raised me and my brother and sister. But I really don't want to ruin my household's way of life, or let him in just for appeasement. Baseball bat is on standby. May I recommend aluminum? Commenter 3. Not the asshole. You have zero obligation to other people's bad decisions. He's a grown-ass man, and if he hasn't learned to overcome adversity at his age, this is the perfect opportunity for a crash course. He cannot stay in your house. It would ruin whatever peace at home you have. The definition of family to the people you've posted about is codependent and unhealthy. OP responds, it's what I'm worried about too. I can't live with someone who hates my son. Protecting my peace from parasites comes first. Just worried I may set off a serious drama bomb. Commenter 4. Ho-ho-ho! Hates your son? That's enough right there. OP responds, hearing you guys made me think about it more. Why else would my bro have these conversations trying to change who my son is if my bro actually loved his nephew? Commenter 5. You have an early teen child in the house. Your brother is not the sort of daily influence and example you want in your home. Protect him and keep saying nope. OP responds, I can't subject him to that. It would be exhausting if I had to have an intervention every single day. Commenter 6. No, you're not. Why are you the first port of call and not anyone else? OP responds, I have the biggest house. I think everyone is assuming I'm the best fit. Commenter 6. Would he be desperate enough to break in? OP responds, I sure hope not. I don't think his bones would survive a very fit, regular exercising man with a metal baseball bat. Aim for the shins. They're the most easily accessible exposed bone on the human body. There's no muscle to absorb the impact. Update, September 13th, 2025. 1 week later. First part here, posts link. Preliminary address. Thank you for your time and advice, Reddit. Your advice and care for my son has been so lovely. Be ye genuine or be ye spectators awaiting the next chapter in an entertaining story, I appreciate it. Didn't tell my husband and son. The statement. Husband helped me write this in a professional-ish way and contacted Joe's Nighthawk ex, who is a lawyer. Nighthawk hasn't officially taken a case, but we thought she would be able to help us write a serious-sounding letter by giving pointers and revising to add gravitas. This is literally just Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. For the sake of readability, I will give people fake names. I will use Smith for a fake family surname and Joe for my brother, just for readability. Lower your pitchforks, for I am not going to subject all of you to the same letter we sent to our family group chat. But I will share the ending. Quote, if anyone feels strongly that Joe needs a place, our door is not the one to knock on. But yours absolutely could be. We fully support anyone in the family opening their home to him and showing how family support is done. We love you all, but we're not sacrificing our home stability to prove our loyalty. That is our final word on the matter. With love and boundaries, OP and family. If anyone wants the full letter, request it in the comments. I feel like I'm already pushing it with post length. The after effects. The communication assault ceased after 2 days of us turning it against them. No one has threatened to burn bridges or exclude us from family events. They tried to use the bad family card, but we just played it back at them, accusing them of being bad family. I underestimated how much people can just spam it. The secondary incident. We may have dodged a big bullet. I really don't like going on too long, but I don't know how to make this shorter without making it blander than unseasoned, unbuttered rice. Before this, we talked to the police, and thanks to my hubby's connections, They knew the situation in the event Joe broke in and tried to claim residency. We made it clear. Joe is not a resident in any capacity, and we don't want him in the house unless we invite him. We are on a weekend trip to my in-laws' place, who are very much just the loving aunties and grandmas. They are non-drama people and respect boundaries. Yesterday, I got a call from my parents saying Joe got into trouble with the police. Fortunately, he was not arrested, and he was not harmed. Apparently, he showed up at our house at night, and he tried to get us to let him in. But no one was around. But he tried harder. Neighbors called the cops because they didn't know who it was and thought we were being robbed. Cops showed up, and I don't know everything, but my mom told me that the cops told her that he tried to claim residency, but that was false and they knew. And then Joe told the cops he didn't have a home. The cops told my parents that either they could pick up Joe or they'd get a shelter and other services involved. Parents ended up having to drive to pick him up late at night, and now Joe is crashing on their couch. Other news, Joe's ex, Nighthawk, as I called her before on my past post, bite me it works. And my husband are still friends, and says she's never taking Joe back to her nest. Joe might have lost a lover, but Son didn't lose an aunt. Son is doing okay. It's still an uphill battle to understand anime, but he likes the effort I put in. He said he was happy he didn't have to live with Joe. I didn't tell him about the concern you all showed for him, but I think that's fine. Probably safer this way. Conclusion. Family now has to put their money where their mouth is. Joe is fine. Our asses are covered. We're fine and safe. I'm sorry if this is too long. Tried to make it brief, but I couldn't. Too long didn't read. We wrote a formal statement, sent it, covered our asses after a brief but calm altercation with the police. Joe is now with our parents. Additional information from OP, sharing the letter they sent to the Smith family. OP. I'll share. Quote, People of the Smith family, for anyone who hasn't heard yet, Mr. Joe Smith asked us for a place to stay after a recent breakup with Miss Nighthawk. Members of our household have talked it over, and we came to the conclusion that Joe Smith would not make for a suitable tenant in our household. We understand some people believe family should help family, and we do not completely deny this statement. However, help does not always mean to allowing people to move in for an undefined amount of time. Given past history, which everyone reading this knows about, let's not pretend otherwise, the already strained relationship between Joe and certain household members, this was already tenuous. We also gave a statement from Miss Nighthawk that Joe never was employed while living with her, and their arrangement was financially parasitic in nature. Based on the current state of Mr. Joe Smith's employment, we believe this will be no different for us. Hosting Mr. Joe Smith would not be healthy for anyone under our roof. If anyone feels strongly that Joe needs a place, our door is not the one to knock on. But yours absolutely could be. We fully support anyone in the family opening their home to him and showing how family support is done. We love you all, but we're not sacrificing our home stability to prove our loyalty. That is our final word on the matter. Much love, OP and family. The impression we were trying to give off is, we're so serious, we're talking like officials. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Great resolution and well done. Bet you love breathing in a sigh of relief. OP responds, yes, we couldn't have hoped for better. No punched faces, no legal fees. Commenter 2. Bravo for connecting with the police to head off your brother's bullshit claim that he lived there. OP's response, Nighthawk's advice came in handy. Commenter 3. I have a few questions and issues here. 1. All he did was talk about a scary lawyer. Why is that so horrible? And 2. Bro is a male, 32, and ruins and or never returns anything given to him? OP sneaks into bro's room to retrieve anything when bro 32 isn't home. Have I got that right? And they give male 32 toys still? Am I missing something? 3. Why doesn't bro 32 male have a job and his own place to live? What's wrong with bro that prevents him from working and getting his own place? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Even with the questions, OP, you're not the asshole. And yeah, fam is the asshole for demanding you take on this 32-year-old man-child. Stand firm. I thought it was obvious that OP was talking about their childhood, and that's where the mention of toys came in. OP responds, 1. The Nighthawk of a woman that my brother dated can be very terrifying at times, and my brother still thought it was a good idea to say insulting things behind her back to his friends. The Nighthawk found out, and it killed the respect she had for him. 2. I stopped giving bro anything after I snuck into his room when I was 14 to get back the Game Boy I gave him to borrow. I found it with yogurt marks on the screen. Never again. Ever since I stopped giving him things, I have not needed to steal anything back. 3. He has told me every excuse in the book, from not liking people to not liking the job itself. I think he's lazy, but who knows. But still, thanks anyway. OP clarifies details on why Joe was kicked out by his ex and why he was breaking into OP's house. OP: Joe was gossiping with his buddies and saying mean things about Nighthawk behind her back. I saw the text from the screenshots. I won't repeat, but it was awful. Hence, that killed any trust Nighthawk had in Joe and their relationship. Though the second part about the break-in, I don't think Joe was trying to break in. My mom only told me so much, but apparently Joe's phone had died, and I think Joe thought someone was home and thought making enough noise would get attention. We'll do a sweep of the outside when we get back, though. Commenter 4. How did a badass Nighthawk end up with your brother? OP responds. I don't know. Hearts are weird. Opposites attract? I have no idea. Love was love until it died for them. Commenter 5. I want to ask what you're having difficulties with about anime. What anime does your son like? Maybe you can ask him why he likes it? Maybe you guys can look at videos about storytelling and art direction. OP responds. He likes how imaginative it is. I think as well as how it looks. I'll admit, it looks really cool, but I can barely remember plot for shit. Commenter 6. I do find anime has plot while other cartoons might have been one-offs. Perhaps you can read some summaries to see what the overall plotline is, so you can place where you are in an episode. OP responds, Don't get me wrong, I'm amazed that there are people so creative out there. I probably couldn't conceive of half of these ideas if I didn't do copious amounts of drugs. But I just feel myself unable to keep up sometimes. The closest thing I got to understanding an anime is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And all I got of that was first 2 parts are people punching with the power of the sun, and after that it's something about unique spirit things giving special powers. Sun says he likes the fights in that way because every battle is like a puzzle, and when I asked him who the strongest was, he said no one, and that's why it's great. I barely know shit about the characters and spirit things, so I am taking his word for it. I kind of feel bad because so many people are ragging on OP's writing style in this one. I personally really enjoyed it. It was fun to read. I found it really charming. I think it might be the mentions of the bat that might be getting to me, but additionally, I just really imagine that this person was just Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and that made it a lot more enjoyable to read for me. That might just be me though, so I'm sorry if you guys found this narration style specifically annoying because of the writing style, but I personally had a lot of fun with it. It was a lot of fun for me to read. And I'm very happy that OP stood up for himself, his husband, and his family. That's pretty fucking awesome. And we finally had an OP who actually swung with oh yeah, you want me to watch over him because I'm family? Well, you do it then. Why don't you watch the brother because you're family? We finally had someone actually swing with that. And it fucking worked. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, of course, Satan is not a pogo stick. Regional OP is C Needleworker 161, posted to r/mytheasshole September 8th, 2025. Am I the asshole for refusing to make amends after my ex-best friend reached out to me? The other night, I got an Insta message. Confused, I thought it might have been a mistake. Turns out, it was my ex-best friend from high school. Someone I hadn't seen or spoken to in years. She was hoping to meet up and talk about catching up. Hannah. We went to kindergarten together, and were friends on and off throughout our school years. Our moms were friends, which made it easier. I thought she was my person. At least until the summer before senior year, and my mom got sick. She got real sick, and passed away from it pretty quickly. Entering senior year, I was in a very dark place. Hannah was my rock, her and my other friends at the time. I was starting to feel better about myself, and when prom rolled around, I asked if we could go as friends. It felt right, and things were really starting to feel okay again. Until she ditched me at prom. I guess her and a couple of our friends had agreed to a slumber party without me. I felt so embarrassed. No goodbye. No, sorry we left you at the prom by yourself. It was even worse when I had to call my older sister to give me a ride home. I mean, I can still see her disappointment. Even worse, the principal walked me to the car because I had asked him to check if my friends had left prom. When I asked Hannah for an explanation at school, all she could say was she was tired. You've become toxic with your sadness. Every day you cry and whine about missing her. I loved your mom too, but you make it so hard to be around you. Honestly, I couldn't breathe after that. How does a kid respond to that? I ended high school with no friends, and it wasn't made easier that she never told her mom. Graduation day, Hannah's mom gave me flowers and thanked me for being her daughter's friend. I told her the truth about prom and walked away before I began to cry. I left those things behind me, and now she has the audacity, almost 10 years later, to try to patch things up. I can't. At least, I don't think I can. We spent so much of my childhood being together that I just don't know. She looks like she's done well for herself, so maybe she's changed, but I was really hurt, and I don't think I recovered from it. This turned into a really long vent post. Sorry. Smiley face. Relevant comments. Elingicho comments. Not the asshole. She abandoned you when you needed her most and said cruel stuff that stuck with you for years. You don't owe her closure or a reunion. If connecting hurts more than it helps, you have every right to keep that door closed. OP responds. I think the only reason I would ever want to talk to her again is to see if her mom is okay. Hannah's mom had a stroke roughly a year ago and hasn't gotten much better. Or so I'd heard. Professional Train 178 comments. Not the asshole. Doesn't sound like the message was an apology. Unless the message was a complete apology, showing self-reflection and with no obligation on you to give her closure. Don't open the door to your heart. She'll hurt you again. Opie responds. It was a short hello, a gift from friends of Joey saying, how you doing? And would I be up to meet up for lunch to talk? You can see now why this surprised me out of nowhere. To the question of what happened to the friend group from high school. As far as I know, our original friend group broke up after high school because they all felt conflicted regarding everything that happened our senior year. I had some friends that agreed that my grief was valid. However, a majority of them agreed with her. Update. September 14th, 2025, 6 days later. Am I the asshole for refusing to make amends with my ex-best friend after almost 10 years? I made a post about a week ago regarding an old best friend, Hannah, trying to make contact with me. We were close growing up in school together, but after losing my mom at 17, we had issues. I was apparently too much to deal with because my grief was toxic, and I would cry too much for anything. The post was removed, but I was hoping to still give an update since people had given feedback on how to approach the situation. Hannah messaged me Friday, again, asking if we can meet up at the local mall food court on Saturday, since we used to hang out there all the time. I thought I had to go to the mall on the weekend anyways to pick up an order. I might as well hear her out. Of all the hypothetical scenarios that my anxiety and stress had popped into my head, I didn't expect her to actually be there. Worst of all, with Christy, another one of my friends from school that was cold to me after my mom's passing. I hesitated to even approach the table once I saw them together. They were older, which makes sense. It's been years since high school, and we were all adults. I gave myself a hypothetical 30 minutes. Only 30 minutes. And I never have to see their faces again. I approached the table, we sat down, and talked. Hannah talked, and she talked a lot. Apparently, our old high school teacher, who ran the club that we were all in together, wanted to do a reunion with us. She apparently couldn't get into contact with all of us and was curious if Hannah wouldn't mind getting my info. Christy mentioned that I was the only one that she couldn't get in contact with. That's it. I anticipated some kind of catharsis to come, but all I felt was rage. What else is there? I broke. I mentioned what happened after my mom. I mentioned how lonely I felt after being ignored and called annoying for grieving. I mentioned how it took me so long to trust again after the people I considered my friends just left me. That I would come home to an empty house after school instead of my mom cooking dinner or talking to me. Both Hannah and Christy were quiet while I stood there at the point of tears. I can't even remember standing up. I felt childish crying, but seriously? You send me a message wanting to meet up to talk to make amends, just to tell me that you're only doing this because a random teacher who we sat in a classroom with for 30 minutes every Friday told you? I composed myself. I wasn't about to have a mental breakdown in the middle of a damn food court. Quote, I needed you then, and I don't need this now. Hannah shut down, and I could tell my words had done something to her. Christy just got mad. She reprimanded Hannah and said that there was no point in finding me, and this proved it. Christy chalked up everything that happened in school to kids being kids, that it was the past. Okay. Grabbing my things, lightly excused myself and left. I cried once I made it back to my car. They have changed, but it's clear they haven't changed how they felt about how they treated me. Never once did they say sorry. They clearly expected me to just get over it. Again, sorry for the long post, but I hope putting this out there will give me the clarity I need. Thank you for listening. Relevant comments. User, this guy is awesome comments. You should reach out to the teacher and tell them what happened back then and now. Then let them know that's why you won't attend. Mopey responds, the club teacher, Mrs. Diaz, was actually aware of the situation at the time. I had been telling her and actually had been attending club only for club events, never club activities. She accommodated for me. She was actually really understanding of how I felt at the time, and I would like to get back to her to express my appreciation for her. I think no matter what, OP needed counseling in the past, and they definitely need therapy now. They need to be able to work past what they went through and help get past what they're going through now. They need to be able to move on and grow. And it sounds like that just because of how life went about itself and the events they went through, they never had that opportunity. And when looking at the past, we had teenagers who were grappling with an event that, honestly, none of them should have had to deal with. They didn't have the emotional maturity to deal with any of this. We had OP who was dealing with the death of their mother and did not know how to handle it, didn't have an outlet for their grief, didn't really have anyone to talk to besides their friends. And then we had Hannah, who was a teenager, 17, and probably didn't have the toolkit or experience to deal with someone who was essentially relying on them as their rock, and they probably hit a breaking point. They were 17, and I'm not saying this to excuse their behavior, I'm saying it as an explanation, something to help bridge the gap as to why they and their friend group treated OP the way they did. Because don't get me wrong, their actions as teenagers were wrong. I'm just giving this as something to think about. But that's the past. Here's the present. They had an opportunity to apologize, reconcile, and make it known that they're remorseful for how they treated OP in the past. But instead they acted like it was no big deal. You're still hung up on the death of your mother? Leading OP in with wanting to make things right, and instead, this is actually about a reunion that one of our old teachers is setting up. OP was right to have the response they did. We all deal with grief differently. It's just part of being human. I'm actually shocked and disappointed that with Hannah's mother being in a condition that she is, that there wasn't any kind of retrospection or any attempt to bridge that gap. Because as messed up as it is to say, if Hannah's mother does pass within the next few weeks, months, days, or whatever, she's still not going to experience the pain that OP went with being a teenager and losing their parent. She'll get a taste, certainly so, and it's going to hit her hard, and it's going to be difficult to process. But the weight will be fundamentally different. And I hope that dawns on her as she lies there at night and realizes and feels guilty for how she handled this situation. Not just in the past, but more importantly, in the present, as an adult. But I am recording this with a tired mind before I go to bed, and I'm curious to get your opinions on this one. How do you feel on this situation? Grief is complicated. It's complex. We all approach it differently. We all have different feelings on it. And because of that, I think audience input could be really valuable on this one. I shared my thoughts, and I hope you do the same. This post was collected by Shattenspringer. Their tagline is, "Waste of a read, literally no drama." Originally posted in r/am_the_asshole by user rarefly1984, September 15th, 2025. Am I the asshole for refusing to delete my son's Roblox account even though my husband wants me to? I read it. I, 38 female, need some perspective because my husband, 40 male, thinks I'm in the wrong here. My son, 10 male, plays Roblox for about an hour each night before bed. His day is packed. School, homework, sports, and some leisure time. The Roblox session is the one time he really gets to unwind, and he keeps it very controlled. He doesn't play for hours, doesn't skip homework or sports, and he knows he has limits. I work from home, so I'm around him throughout the day. I know exactly what he's doing. I monitor his schedule, and I make sure he balances school, sports, study, and playtime. When he plays Roblox, I sit next to him and watch my TV show, so I can supervise him while enjoying some downtime. The conflict comes from my husband. He is extremely concerned about predatory activity on Roblox, the schlep situation and all, and that some countries have banned Roblox and ongoing lawsuits and thinks our son should not be allowed to play at all. He argues that even with parental controls, the risks are too high. I refuse to delete the account because parental controls are enabled. I've restricted chat, friend requests, and purchases, making his account very safe. He's responsible with his time. It's only 1 hour, and it doesn't interfere with his school or activities. It's supervised play. I sit right next to him while he plays and monitor everything. And it's a way for him to relax. After a busy day, this is his only downtime. Every time I bring this up, my husband insists that any exposure to Roblox is too risky, even under parental supervision. I feel like I'm being reasonable, and deleting the account would punish him unnecessarily. So, am I the asshole for refusing to delete his Roblox account, even though my husband thinks I am? So before we get into some of the comments, I do just want to throw my 2 cents in. Your husband does have the right to feel worried about Roblox in the current situation. However, his approach is fundamentally incorrect. Because in a sense, as you've kind of alluded to, you're punishing your son for something that he has no control over or, more than likely, limited understanding of. He's not quite at the age yet where he'd be able to comprehend why you guys are cutting him off. It's really going to come down to, why am I being punished for other people's behavior? And instead, and it sounds like the mother is already taking this approach, use this as a way to teach your son about online safety and security. And instead of just punishing him and trying to shut him out from the world and put him in a box, use this as a teaching moment. Teach him how to be safe online. We've all seen and encountered parents who either moderate too much or don't moderate at all, and we see the consequences of that. A child who's overly sheltered and once they get to the real world don't know how to approach life, or someone who has been so indulgent in every whim they have that they have no means of self-control. And while sometimes it can be a difficult conversation, moderation is key, and having those difficult conversations with your child is important to make sure that they understand why certain things are put into place and that it's not because you don't trust them, it's because you don't trust others. Now, let's continue. The general consensus was not the asshole. Commenters say it's the most responsible way to teach their child about being online, and he's got to learn it somehow. Update. September 17th, 2025, 2 days later. Hi Reddit, OP here again from the Roblox Am I the Asshole post. So, my husband actually read through a bunch of your comments. At first, he was stubborn, but after seeing how many people said supervision plus limits are the key, he agreed we should at least try a middle ground instead of deleting everything. We decided to talk to our son about online dangers. Don't give out info, don't trust strangers, tell us if something weird happens. He nodded, very seriously. Many comments suggested my son sit with him and understand his world, and honestly, my husband did try that. My son went, "See Dad, you grow a garden. Seeds like Ember Lily and prismatic ones earn you the most profit. Then instill a brain tot, Trello, tralala, and something else," he told us. My husband just sat there like, heh. None of those words made sense to us. He was so confident though, explaining it like he was a professor giving a lecture. My husband didn't want to kill the moment, so my husband just went, okay, I get it now. Spoiler, he did not get it at all. Now, my husband actually sits with him during Roblox time. Our son is thrilled to narrate everything. "Look, Dad, I just stole some brain trot." Meanwhile, my husband looks like he's watching an alien language stream in real time. I sit there with my show and just laugh quietly. So no, we still don't understand Roblox. We're just two clueless millennial parents trying to decode brain tots while our kid lives his best life. But at least now we're approaching it together instead of arguing. Thanks Reddit for pushing us in the right direction. And that is probably the perfect ending. There is literally not a different direction that I would have wanted this to go. This is the perfect way for this to go. Good on the father for looking out for his kid, but then understanding that his ways were a bit too aggressive and, could be refined a bit. Sat there, listened, undid his stubborn ways, and actually decided to explore the world his child has been so infatuated with, and seeing how much joy in life it actually gives them. And despite not understanding, being there. And being there to understand how much joy that virtual world gives their son. It is so goddamn refreshing to have a post story where both of the parents have the best intentions and they're actually good parents, just maybe a little misguided sometimes, but they're willing to learn and readjust their approach. And God, it is a breath of fresh air. Don't forget, this is brought to you by GamerSupps. Use code OZ at checkout. It's basically a caffeine powder that you put in your water, and I actually really like it. I use this on a daily basis. Don't forget that every purchase you make using code OZ directly supports the channel. And if you want a personal recommendation from me, I would either recommend the Soda Pressing Pear or Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are currently my favorite flavors. And as a note, once we sell a certain amount of stuff, I get my own flavor and my own cup, and you all know I'm gonna choose some degenerate shit that's gonna make their PR team squirm. My goal is to make them regret partnering with me. So please, use code OZ at checkout to make my dream come true of making a PR team squirm.